Hello, my happy band. Time for going Monikalytical yet again. Well, for this week, I have been given a very beautiful incident that I'm supposed to be reading out for you. Yes, it is something that has been narrated over the years, and still it has that element of beauty in it, something that I'm very sure each one of us will be able to connect. Also, this is in tune with what one of my subscribers had asked me to write about. Remember, we had talked about the concept of defining beauty and how our perception of beauty varies from what somebody else might think about it. So without delaying any further, time to go Monikalytical, and as we always say, put on your headphones, stay where you are, and close your eyes to listen in. John Blanchard stood up from the bench, straightened his army uniform, studied the crowd of people making their way through the Grand Central in New York City. He looked for the girl whose heart he knew, but whose face he did not. The girl with a rose. His interest in her had begun 13 months before in a Florida library. Taking a book off the shelf, he found himself intrigued, not with the words of the book, but with the notes penciled in the margin. The soft handwriting reflected a thoughtful soul and insightful mind. In front of the book, he discovered the previous owner's name, Miss Hollis Mennel. With time and effort, he located her address. She now lived in New York City. He wrote her a letter introducing himself and inviting her to correspond. The next day, he was shipped overseas for service in World War II. So it's that far back a story. During the next year and 1 month, the two grew to know each other through the mail. Each letter was a seed falling on a fertile heart. A romance was budding. Blanchard requested a photograph, but she refused. She felt that if he really cared, it wouldn't matter what she looked like. This is what the essence of the story is all about, looks. When the day finally came for him to return from Europe, they scheduled their first meeting. 7 p.m. at Grand Central Station. "You'll recognize me," she wrote, "by the red rose I'll be wearing on my lapel." So at 7 p.m. he was at the station looking for a girl whose heart he loved, but whose face he had never seen. We'll let Mr. Blanchard tell you what happened next. All right? So Mr. Blanchard, in his own words, he mentions, "A young woman was coming towards me, her figure long and slim. Her blonde hair laid back in curls from her delicate ears. Her eyes were as blue as flowers. Her lips and chin had a gentle firmness, and in her pale green suit, she was like a springtime come alive. I started towards her, entirely forgetting to notice that she was not wearing a rose. As I moved, a small, provocative smile curved her lips. 'Going my way, sailor?' she murmured. Almost uncontrollably, I made one step closer to her, and then I saw Hollis Mennel. She was standing almost directly behind the girl, a woman well past 40. She had graying hair tucked under a worn hat. She was more than plump, her thick ankled feet thrust into the low-heeled shoes. The girl in the green suit was walking away. I felt as though I was split in two. So keen was my desire to follow her, and yet so deep was my longing for the woman whose spirit has truly companioned me and upheld my own. And there she stood. Her pale, plump face was gentle and sensible. Her grey eyes had a warm and kindly twinkle. I did not hesitate. My fingers gripped the small, worn blue leather copy of the book that was to identify me to her. This would not be love, but it would be something precious. Something perhaps even better than love. A friendship for which I had been and must ever be grateful. I squared my shoulders and saluted and held out the book to the woman, even though while I spoke, I felt choked by the bitterness of my disappointment. I'm Lieutenant John Blanchard, and you must be Miss Manu. I'm so glad we could meet. May I take you out to dinner? The woman's face broadened into a tolerant smile. I don't know what this is all about, son, she answered. But the young lady in the green suit who just went by begged me to wear this rose on my coat. And she said, if you were to ask me out to dinner, I should tell you that she's waiting for you in the big restaurant across the street. She said it was some kind of a test. It's not difficult to understand and admire Miss Manuel's wisdom. The true nature of a heart is seen in its response to the unattractive. Tell me whom you love, Hussey wrote, and I will tell you who you are. Time to reflect, my happy band. Are we the ones who still go by the consumer industry that gives us mannequins to identify beauty with? परफेक्शन को ढूंढते हुए हम किस हद तक जाते हैं और किस लिए जाते हैं? सिर्फ बात करने के लिए, सिर्फ कहने के लिए, ब्यूटी इज ओनली स्किन डीप, गो फॉर द हार्ट, बट डू वी एक्चुअली प्रैक्टिस? हम उसे अडॉप्ट नहीं करते अपने लाइफ में. हम सोचते कुछ हैं, हम कहते कुछ हैं. हम इस कदर दो नावों में पांव रखे हैं कि हमारा गिरना जो है वो लाजमी है, और गिर के चोट भी हम ही खाएंगे, लेकिन उसका इल्जाम किसी दूसरे पे. तो क्यों ना अपने ही कॉन्सेप्ट्स को, अपनी ही सोच को स्ट्रीमलाइन किया जाए. लाइफ इज फुल ऑफ पेन, बट डज इट एवर गेट एनी बेटर? Will people ever care about each other and make time for those who are in need? Each of us has a part to play in this great show that we call life. Each one of us has a duty to tell our friends, to tell the people who matter to us that we love them. If you don't care, you will not be punished. No, there is no punishment. You will simply be ignored, forgotten. You'll be treated the way you have treated others. Here I'd like to wind up, but then again, not before I just drop in a line that I read somewhere and I found it really, really interesting, and I found it really very impressive. To never get a call from a friend just saying hi. When you show someone your innermost thoughts and they laugh in your face. For friends to always be too busy to console you when you need someone to lift your spirits. When it seems like the only person who cares about you is you. Please understand, the love that lifts you up is the love that you need to respect, is the love that you need to strive for, not only to achieve, but to deliver, to give. All right. Time to say a ciao, bye-bye, take care, love you all, and see you again next week on Monikalytical. Bye-bye.